Today is January 16th, 2026. Of course, today. Of course. Of course. You know, I worked last night. I came home. I didn't feel good. I had a hair appointment to get my hair done. And my stomach hurt. Then I found out one of my old clients that even after I quit working for a company, they had went into a nursing home. They got in contact with me and asked me to come visit. And we had already became friends with working with her for over a year. And I found out she passed. I cried. One of the things about doing home health care, you learn to love these people. A lot of them are shut-ins, especially when you do senior care. And you bring a little bit of life and humanity back into their life. You're not just there for a job and to take care of them or do what they need you to. You become friends with them because you're taking care of them all the time. And sometimes they just want you to sit and talk to them and gossip and laugh and joke like you're a friend visiting. It's a wonderful, sweet job. And the wonderful people I take care of become a piece of your heart. And when they pass, it breaks your heart. It really does. And that's one of the things about my job. It doesn't pay a lot. But the rewards it gives you outweigh the cost. And it makes me feel good about myself. And I'm good at it. And I had cried and cried. And her family kept texting me. And I cried a little bit at the hair salon. And on the way home, my husband wanted to stop and get something to eat. My stomach was already tight. And of course, there's people in there talking in Golden Corral. Most of them are really upset over my grandson because they sold the login. Okay. Being sober, he's 18, 6 foot, over 250 pounds. And he goes to that call. And he called me up to yell at me. And at first he asked for a ride home. It's already 3:20, and I was like, I'm clear out North Canton. I said, couldn't you call me before this? Or text me or something. Well, I could have found somebody else. I said, well, if you want to, you can. Don't be rude. Well, I could use a ride home. I said, they can be nicer about it. Well, I start, driving. I said, it's going to take me 20 minutes. Well, I'll wait. Only lives a mile from there, a little less from it. Take him 20 minutes to walk home. When I lived up in New York, we walked almost a mile to school and then back home. And then we went out and played. Every day. I was tiny out walking that far. The cold, the snow, the rain. Well, he started in about the white truck Dave left. Still my name and Dave's name. Danny's been trying to get him for over a year to get signed off on a power of attorney over the certificate of title so we can take it out of his name and I can sign off and it can go to Danny. Told Danny to just have everything. Basically hand him a vehicle. Still in his name and mine. Can't be insured unless I do it. Can't be plated unless I do it. Cost me $140 a month. And he's starting in how his wonderful grandfather left him that vehicle. I said, it's not yours. And you will not drive it till it's out of my name. He's like, you can't tell me no. I said, it's mine, and you will not drive it until it's out of my name. And then he starts insulting me. He starts going off on me. I said, you want, and he starts going on and on and on. Well, maybe he didn't know that. I said, he's not competent. And he starts, and I said, if he wasn't fooling around with this, it wouldn't took him a year and a half to go get it notarized even out of country. Because you can go to American Embassy. Get it signed off, and so we could get it switched. He's sticking me with a bill. And I said, I'll tell you what, you will not drive it. He said, it's not yours. I said, it's enough mine, I can come get it towed off. And there's nothing you can do about it. And you will not drive it till it's out of my name. And he starts telling me off about how wonderful his grandfather. I said, really? And he starts insulting me. The person that buys his school clothes, his shoes, his winter coats, hats, his socks, his shoes. The person that does almost everything. Buys them extra food, treats. You're going to insult me. I don't think so. Not on a good day. I told him, I said, you need to change the subject. You need to stop several times. Wouldn't cut it out. Got to the point he was screaming at me like Harold Strange used to get up over that pulpit and scream and call people names, being a smart ass. And people would run out crying, quit church, or they would come up and apologize for him bullying them so he got more control over them. Dave used to do that to me. It's taught by that occult to abuse people, to take control. He's not going to do that. And he started in. I said, well, where is he so good? What did he do for you? Nothing. And I said, and he was going on, you just have malice in your heart against him. Nah, 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 nah. And he starts telling me off. I said, don't you dare. And I said, you know what that fucking bastard did to me? You want to know what he did? And I told him. How do I know you're lying? I said, I'm not, and you know I'm not. And I said, I'll tell you what, you can walk your fucking ass home. Your fucking fat ass home. I said, before I'll come pick you up, and you will not talk to me this way. And he started screaming at me more, and I hung up on him. Called Jen. I told her what I said to him. She started laughing. She said, you tell Danny, and Danny addressed it. Danny went over to pick him up. They waited an hour. Instead of walking 20 minutes home, they waited an hour. Because they're too lazy to walk. He said, what were you thinking going off on her? He said, I don't know what I was thinking. He said, what were you thinking even saying anything like that to her? He said, I don't know. He said, a cult brainwashing. That's what it is. I told Tyler, I said, you know what that bastard did? He had people go in and set up button cameras in her home. He set them up in the bathroom. He taped you as a child, go on potty, and let them sell you on porn sites. You're just saying that. I said, no, I'm not. They bragged they did. I said, and that's where they laughed at me about that shower scene in the other room, of washing myself. They photoshopped it that you didn't know about. I said, and where I had bruises, throwing up, and almost passing out, he's having people drug me with hypnotic drugs that came out and tell me to stay off and have me beaten and raped by strange men. And while he was out dating every whore that would go out with him. You're just saying that. I said, I can name several that I found out. And you heard Dixie mention Michelle. He was dating her while we were married. And I said, I found out about other ones. And he started going off on me. And I said, they pulled a scam. I said, there's HIPAA violation. No doctor could ever tape you unaware. They don't da-da-da-da-da-da. And no attorney gets special permission. It's Fourth Amendment in the Constitution. Police and agencies can only be in a home under a threat of life with statements. He ran a big scam on me. And I went off on him, and he's screaming at me, and I hung up on him. Carl looked at me and said, that was uncalled for and horrible. I can't believe he talked to you that way. The person that does everything for him. Think of that. Danny came over. He said he told me he's going to call and apologize. Never did. Sat at church. Talked to me. Danny showed up today. I said, you know how strange you used to get over that pulpit and beat it and scream and call people names and then run out crying? He said, I remember that. I said, and Dad would act like him? And he said, yeah. I said, Tyler did it. And boy, did I tear him up. I said, I sent you the laws of where their scam is so illegal. It'll put him 20, 30 years in federal prison. He said, I seen that. Well, people were talking in Golden Corral. They couldn't believe that Tyler even spoke to me that way. Other ones were complaining. We all watched her cry over a friend dying. They said not to say a word to her today. And then some guy was in there. He was complaining. I told that attorney, who do they think they are, thinking that they're going to hit her with both barrels and they'll make sure she don't have no money to get a legal defense and they'll have and everything on her before was already documented medical fraud and and I would have told her kid to, because Carl's son Rick, that they talked into turning on him. Carl's tractor, he drained all the oil out of it. Motor's locked up. Where Desi and her friend seen him take the battery and rip the wires out, he also locked up the motor. So they have to have a tractor to bale the hay. So Carl was going to buy a new tractor. He said, I would have told her kid to buy his own tractor. Well, Carl's going to be out there driving it in the spring. If you forget, my husband can still bale 80-pound bales of hay and did 300 in 2 weeks. Get the idea. Now I want you to think this. And that attorney thinks they can get the cops to arrest him, and they won't have a time to turn him into the bar association to have him arrested for what they did. Fuck you. I mean, seriously. Right on Google. No attorney can approach a doctor or a hospital without your signed consent and picture ID. You can't even approach them. It's a HIPAA violation. 10 years federal for the attorney. And other people today later on, that a doctor's willing to go to jail for them. Well, the attorney's going to go to jail too. It's HIPAA. Unforgiving with people with licenses. No attorney can approach a doctor or a hospital without your signed consent, picture ID. They call and verify it's you, and you still have to show your ID and sign a consent for them to talk to you, or they lose their license, and the attorney does. They can't even ask them questions. They can't approach them. It's a federal crime. They can't even say they know anything of my medical records. It's a federal crime. Where they say they got a doctor from before the one that's not mine works for them and they lied to scam. Of course it's a scam. It's a federal crime. Like they said, these people did not realize putting the word doctor on it made it so illegal they all go to jail. If the law states if a doctor tapes you unaware, it is 10 years. It is a federal crime. If a doctor speaks of you without your consent, it is 10 years and $1 million fine. If they pull your medical records without your signed consent ID and they verify it was you releasing it to them, it's 10 years. And if attorney has their doctor friend do it, 10 years for both. Loss of license immediately. See how dumb these people are. We're talking 30 years. Just for that. Without the drugs, the beat, the rape, the kitty porn of my grandkids going potty, human trafficking me, attempted murder, and then a fraud scheme to extort money out of the government, and trying to defraud a federal agent, thinking he didn't know what HIPAA was. And then the right of privacy. The attorney had special permission to be in their home. No, he didn't. Sheriffs didn't know. Prosecutor's office didn't know. Ravenna police didn't know. They lied again. Fourth Amendment, the right of the people to be safe and secure within your own person. No one can touch you unless you want them to. It's assault. Your places, your homes, your papers, and effects against all unreasonable searches or seizures shall not be violated. No searches, no seizures, but upon probable cause warranted. That's a court order with the oath or affirmation of the people, places, or things to be searched or seized. You also have the right to remain quiet and a right to an attorney. With those three rights, police and agencies only under a threat of life with statements in a court order. Even the FBI would go to jail. It's a felony invasion of privacy, cyber stalking, illegal monitoring, and they get listed a sex offender for voyeurism. And it's not admissible because it's a right of privacy. I've talked to the prosecutor's office, the police, and an attorney. I told you on April 16th, 23, I heard Danny across the parking lot, where I had asked him on Christmas Eve of 22 if they knew of any of this. They didn't know anything. Okay? Kept going over, did you know this? Did you know that? No. Well, yeah, he walks across the parking lot, him and Jen, to Gabe and Jay. Finally went to Dad, asked him what on earth is going on. See, they didn't know. Said he had hired some guy named Pete on his own. Was Pete and his men in our home before? Pete has a frame, Pete has a tape, the filthy, dirty statement. Some guy Dave hired on his own to drug me up and tell me say it. I've never met him. Not a doctor, just some guy Dave hired. Louisville police, May 30th, 25. They were outside talking that they found the original cases that her ex-husband hired two men on his own. One said he was an attorney, someone made a legal note. What were they thinking? Oh, drug cartel on a platter, being stupid, trying to scam the FBI, thinking the agent didn't know laws. I want you to think about that. All right. And it came out on August 4th, August 5th, August 7th, and August 30th that they used, of 25, that they used hypnotic drugs when they drugged me and told me to say it before. That's why she has no memory of these people and she had a metal taste in her mouth. And they had called Agent John a coward on the 5th. As if he didn't know. He was telling people he knew she was being drugged, being raped, and didn't care if the case started. He even let him torture her as he's some kind of coward. They already made a fool out of him June 7th, 23. He fell for their snotty tapes before. For only a stop, mocking him, cackling at him in Walmart 62. Sheriffs have it. Now, we're going to put it this way. The laws of HIPAA are so great. An individual cannot break in someone's home, steal their medical records, and try to use it against them. It's 10 years for the individual. They're under the Act of Privacy. Now, how could they have my medical records? They can't. How could they pull them? They couldn't. How could they go to one of my doctors? They couldn't. How could one of my doctors be with them? They couldn't. They don't tape you unaware. That's a federal crime too. See how dumb they are? Where Michelle told them the doctor from before is not one of hers. He works for them and they had lied. She actually don't know who he is. It's just people Dave hired, then a cult, to run the scam. Thanksgiving of 2018, an illegally bugged house in an FBI case. John's kids were playing Boo in the basement. and they were taking each one of us down to yell boo. On the third step up, I heard the house wasn't meant for Grandma. It was meant for Auntie Shaw and Papa, and Grandma needs to get out. I look down there in the huddle, and they're saying crazy crap. I go out and I sit by Dixie. Flora runs up. They're saying mean things in the basement. She's like, stay out of it. It's like, oh, hell no. Go up to John. I'm like, what is going on? He's like, I don't know. He said, I told Melissa, that's his ex-wife, that we were going to go through a divorce. I was going to be moving out. She'll have the kids make up something, but don't worry about it. No one can say anything bad about you. And she'll have her church people make up something too, but don't worry about it. No one could ever say anything bad about you. It'd just be made up because of the divorce and that you're moving out. Well, you shouldn't have said anything till it happened, but I did. And because I did, and it's just made up, and no one can say anything bad about you, don't worry about it. Within a few days, I call Dave, I tape him. Okay? And so does the police and the FBI. I said, Dave, I've never hurt anyone. He said, Karen, you're good to the kids. You're good to the grandkids. You would never hurt anyone. You're good to everyone, no matter who it is. Okay? My family defended me. Spoke very highly of me. What did Mel's kids get caught and taped in the basement? January 12th, 22, 4:55 p.m. Officer John stopped the men at the door. What those kids get taped stating? They made everything up. They're games of pretend. They're documenting games of pretend. Where Officer Mark said Melissa could go to jail for involving herself in this. I'd hate to arrest her. Kids are little. Why don't we just write it up that her and the kids were showing off for Dave and his girlfriend? And that's what they are wrote up as. Documenting the games of pretend. Okay, people showed up and started yelling stuff at me. And I never talked to anybody for the FBI. I never had my neighbors in my home. I had orange well water. It took a couple months to get a water treatment system in. You still had to take a shower, fast shower, you still had to wash your hands, but you brought bottled water in to cook and drink. I thought it was giving me cancer. I would take a shower, dry off. Next morning, I'd have orange, lemon, grapefruit, sized bruises. Severely infected, throwing up, almost passing out. Going to the doctor, what on earth is wrong with me? And they're treating all the signs of being drugged, being raped, and nobody thought of a rapist. And I'm blaming the dirty well water. Some mornings I'd wake up fine and I'd go out and work outside, come in, wash my hands, make something to eat and drink, go and use the bathroom, wash my hands, and sit down, take a drink in the room, go dizzy and black, the same thing. Never had anybody in my home. They had laughed at me after August 7th of 25 in Walmart 62. They were walking up, stabbing me with those drugs in the hallway. And they worked so fast. She don't even remember that. Years ago, people were screaming crazy crap at me. And people turn around and yelled at him. He used amnesia drugs on her. She'll never remember. You can be as mean as you want. And she'll never remember. So they yelled it at me. I went to the bathroom and threw it. I went to my neighbor Jim and I told him. He's like, Karen, that's horrible. If somebody actually did that to you, it'd be horrible. It's like, Jim, I had orange, lemon, grapefruit sized bruises on me. I was severely infected. I was throwing up. And I almost passed out several times. I was going to the doctor. I was blaming the well walk. He's like, Karen, it'd be horrible if somebody played with you like that. I said, I never even had my neighbors in my home. And I said, they're yelling stuff at me. And they would laugh at me in front of stores. People in stores, they drugged me and told me to say it before. July 25th, 25. I'm in Bob Evans in the morning. Some idiot for that guy Will they talk about. The bill from the Freemasons, big scam. Okay? said something stupid to me. I started screaming, talking to a waitress of how blah, 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 of how this, how that. We went out and we got in a car and went over to Walmart 62. Carl went in to use the bathroom. Investigator from 18 walks in. I told that couple never to say a word to her again. I interviewed John years ago. He said nothing bad ever happened to him, so did all her kids. Okay? And while they're supposed to have drugged her and told her saying blah, 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 he was pissed. Dr. Greg Haben on Frank Road is still there from 50 years ago. He's been in practice for 50 years. Kid's his pediatrician. Investigators already went and talked to him. He told them there was never any sign of any abuse on her children. They were very well taken care of. They showed up and announced they went and talked to him. He said because if there would have been, he would have reported it. See, that's where May 17th of 25? I was down in Sol's palace in Millersburg. Some apostolic godless bitch, her long hair and skirt, bragging her crimes, walked by me. Thank goodness we had a doctor take Brian away. Thank goodness we had that doctor have her say that. Because we had that doctor do that to her, we can do whatever we want and hurt her in any way and even tell the police we did it, but we were making fun of her when we did it. Like, no, you can't, psycho bitch. Tell you what, we went back down there a month later. Men showed up. We heard those idiots were down here bragging they had it done to her. No, they did. It's not my doctor, like Michelle told him. He works for them. He's not mine. January 19, they said they had fake paperwork to make it look official. It's not true about her. The guy who wrote it up didn't like her. Well, the doctor's not mine. I bet the paperwork's fake. The investigators were afraid they stole somebody else's medical records. And put my name on it. They send out emails, I found out last year, telling people that I was in several state psychiatric hospitals, was found insane. I was never in a state psychiatric hospital, and I was never found insane. They told people I had charges of rape and murder, and people should take it in their own hands and take care of me. Trying to get other people to kill me. Lies. I have one traffic ticket from 1989. I paid my ticket. I'm so squeaky clean, it's not funny. It was a sick, satanic stunt that my dumb ass husband thought it was fucking funny having those rejects do to me. Where, November 23rd, 25. Yeah. Was the 23rd or 22nd of 25. Summit Mall, Macy's. Girls downstairs. Her ex-husband was already connected to us. We needed someone to run a scam on. To extort money from the government. He agreed to let us use her if we made sure he got everything during the divorce. And this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. December 1st, 25. Walmart 62. Where Michelle had told one of his old girlfriends. I have never met her in person. I've seen her. And I think she's badass. You go, girl. March 27th, 25. After 1 o'clock, an investigator who was dating her on a ruse got her to confess that the doctor from before was not one of mine, works for them, and they had lied. And when they bashed in my head, they tried to kill me or leave me incompetent. It didn't work. And as soon as she told him, he broke up with her. April 17th, 25. She was so mad that guy broke up with her. She was screaming in the parking lot of Sheetz in Hartville in front of investigators. They started threatening that girl on April 24th, 25 in Summit Mall Loud in the mall. Then leaving threats, places they were either going to kill her, shave her head bald, make her work as a servant for telling on them. And instead of cowering, she went badass. Started telling everybody on them. You go, girl. That's how you stop them. December 1st, 25. Walmart 62, an investigator came in and said Michelle showed up at my office, told me that these people confessed this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. He wanted to scare me into calling the FBI, go in with their little dirty doctor scam and of drugs and told to say it and photoshopped of washing in the shower and stocking tapes. And thinking a federal agent would fall for that, I bet his mouth almost fell open. Do you not think he knew HIPAA? That no doctor by federal law could ever have been with him. They couldn't have my medical records. They don't tape people unaware. These are federal crimes, and he don't make it public. That's enough. And these are punishable by 10-year sentences each and $1 million fine each. I seen some guy today too that I seen back in 18. I don't know who he is. He was laughing. I heard what she said to her grandson. He thought it was funny. I haven't seen him in years. I don't know who he is. Okay. By December 1st, 25, that investigator said that Michelle showed up and told him that this whole thing, they confessed this whole thing was a scam to extort money from the government. And her ex-husband was involved. And the doctor from before is not one of hers. He works for them and they had lied. She actually don't know who he is. I still don't. And they admitted to using hypnotic drugs on her when they drugged her and told her to say it before. And they photoshopped that weird with yourself. It's a shower scene of washing yourself in the shower. And that guy Pete that was in his office running his mouth on me, that is just some guy Dave hired on his own. She don't even know who he is. And this whole thing is just a scam. So where those people said some attorney's going to hit me with both barrels, and they'll have the police arrest her so she can't call the bar association. Well, they better call the bar association or it's going to cost them their badge. There's federal crimes here. Federal crimes. And you're not going to get me arrested and the police aren't going to touch me. I'm an FBI informant. And immunity for life. I'm in government immunity. You know, like diplomatic immunity for foreign dignitaries that come here. This is stronger. I'm in government immunity for the rest of my life. Where you made a public fool out of Agent John, June 7th, 23. Well, that fool and that coward put me in immunity the rest of my life. And you can kiss his ass. You can kiss the FBI's ass, the United States government's ass, the Constitution. And you can kiss my government immunity, government protected informant ass. And you can kiss the judge's ass that signed it. You're nothing but a domestic terrorism group. And they're connected into the Florida drug cartel. In 18, they said they were using the doctor that worked for the Florida drug cartel. By 19, that he had never even met me in person. The ones where they said they were drug traders and human traffickers from Florida, they were relocating people to Florida. And that doctor was even having relocate people down there that he could keep in a room and run experiments on. And he was having them evaluate people, how much they weigh, da 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 da. These people are in other people's homes where I wanted to make sure they weren't where they hacked through the case. I left my phone on the car. I went in people's home because the riffraff would say that they still heard and see me even in the bathrooms. I worked in businesses, and they were even in the back of businesses hacking into their security cameras. I was in a back of this one business in 19 and 20, and I had went in the bathroom and I was sick, and I got some on my hands. Cleaned up, washed my hands 3 times. I'm OCD, scrubbed them. Went out, used hand sanitizer. This guy walked up. I would never tell that you got that stuff on your hands when you're cleaning up. They were in the employee's bathroom in the back. I was working at this other place in the basement, and they made it see me in the basement. They had hacked into those companies. Now, does the FBI know that? Yeah. Does the police know that? Yeah. Because the FBI case was already underway. I was found innocent of everything in 18. My whole family defended me. Mel got caught telling the kids a lie. The kids stating that they were lying and making everything up, and they wanted the house for Auntie Shaw and Papa, and that's why. And they were games and pretend. John defended me, that no one could ever say anything bad about me. Dave defended me. Karen, you're good to the kids, you're good to the grandkids, you'd never hurt anyone. You're good to everyone, no matter who it is. He even defended me because I expected him to. My whole family defended me. Nobody knew this because Dave did this on his own with the cartel. As a scam. Now, April 28th, 24. I walked in a Walmart on the strip. A guy walks by me. I listened to the recorded line. That agent did admit to telling on her, and he did talk to her like that. They needed to do something about this. I go over to the Cam Veggie. Officer in uniform shows up. FBI case. I was listening to this today, Karen. We all know nobody drugs anybody but the drug cartel. And there was a drug cartel in your home before, and we all know that guy told on you before. I want to know how he heard it and took off after him. Now, there was this guy named Kurt, fell for the Mean Games of him. And in May of 21, he found out that they were taped saying that they were lying on Thanksgiving 18, and people were saying he was pissed. Okay? Well, two of the Stark County sheriffs in uniform that were working the case were laughing if Kurt just found out those kids were lying. He's slow. They announced it in Walmart 62. Melissa's so stupid. She made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid. She didn't check where you were. Call her stupid. Crying this in front of him. Okay? It's like, where are you? So he tells everybody, because the Stark County Sheriff's calling slow. Kirk just found out those kids are lying. He's slow. It's May of 21. They said they were lying on Thanksgiving 18. Where you been? Okay? They're laughing at. He just found out those kids were lying. He's slow. So he tells everybody to stay out. The guy's on the phone. He's standing in between some clothes racks in the ladies' aisle, and I'm in the food aisle right next to it. And said, Kurt, none of this is funny. The guy's talking to him on the phone. They have her whole family taped defending her, not knowing anything about this. The other one saying they made everything up. These people admitting to drugging her and telling her to say it before. Photoshopping everything, making everything up on her. None of this is funny. And they have the agent over a case admitting to telling on her before he talked to her. On a recorded line. None of this is funny. Everyone stay out of it. Pam walks by with her granddaughter. Uncle Dave said he had someone tape her before. Well, the cops say it was the cartel. Well, the other guys say everything's made up. Drugged and photoshopped. Everybody defended me. I walk outside. The investigators around me bust out laughing. Took her long enough to confess. She was in it with Dave in those stocking tapes. That's what they're considered. Her family was linked to the fallen around, and now she's in it with Dave in those stocking tapes. Her family better never back anything on those stocking tapes. The police already have them taped that they didn't know anything about it, and them defending her. And these people admitting they drugged her and told her to say it before, photoshopped everything and made everything up on her. That means they were in it with Dave the whole time trying to kill her and cover it up. The police would have to arrest him. People scattered. That night out in North Canton, some guy was outside. He said, I told that girl she's got tape knowing of the tapes before. She better not get caught part of them. She'll go to jail a long time. And she needs to realize how not funny this is. That guy Chris they said they raced out of the room, I found out she don't even know who he is. And he was supposed to be one of the main people hurting her. And she needs to start realizing how not funny this is. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and upload this. Agent John, I need my money. We know you don't have the authority to ask anybody to stay quiet. First Amendment. It takes a judge. Then you've already told Apostolic Church of Barberton you know I was being drugged, being raped, and didn't care. A stranger called me a faker, and it was a medication error, medical malpractice, and fraud. That almost killed me, and it took me 9 months to get well. And he only made it up because he thought I was following Tim and Katie, and it was my sister Linda following her husband. I made a baby lie at 15 years by an occult leader that was low educated. And, you told hundreds of people that they were complaining about you. Now I record a line how you had all the church people in your FBI office. Knew they were trying to kill me, mocking me. Even said you didn't blame them. Because some idiot called me a faker and it was a medication error. Made fun of me for that guy Pete. Still don't know who he is. And I don't know who the doctor, dirty doctor is. Like Michelle said, they lied. He works for them and she don't know who he is. And he sounds like a crazy nut. Made me beg for my life and then listed me in form of money immunity. And you've already told everybody. And they already knew. You don't have the authority. You're just a police officer who takes a judge. In a jury trial. Freedom of speech. I like my money. I need a new name, new social. I like a medical card and a letter of thank you. And would you please arrest these dumbass people? And you need to find out how many more homes are in. How many more kids are selling on porn sites. How many more people they have extortion plans on them, trying to scare them out of all their money or assets. It's just an extortion ring running dumb scams on people that are so illegal they're outrageous. And they are in businesses now. We all work for the king from Texas. We are his men. Dave hired us as a drug lord. He's a U.S. military record translator. Went into the dark web malware fentanyl king. He's a hacker with military training. And Judge Peter's group from Florida, you already got them. A bunch of other cartels off this. When Trackasami got arrested. Not bad for a little old lady that was scared for life. People trying to kill her and threatening to. And called for help. And was betrayed on every level. I'd like my money, please. I'd like to help my family. And I'd like to live the rest of my days without fear. Please. Officer Mark, Officer John, will you please take care of this? I've been over my case. You all know I'm innocent. For we all know this woman's innocent. They told people that in October 21 or 22 investigators. We all know this woman's innocent. These people had already admitted they drugged me and told me to say it before I photoshopped that shower scene. My whole family defended me. The other ones got tapes saying they made everything up. They were games of pretend. I was found innocent of everything in 18. And like you said, Officer Mark, you always knew it was never my doctor, because none of my doctors could never be with them. It would be a crime. A federal one, actually. They didn't fool you.